consistently between 2010 and 2015. According to the report, only 9.4% budgetary allocation was made to the agricultural sector in 2014, which is also below the Maputo declaration of 10%.
The Maputo Declaration in 2003 encouraged African governments to allocate 10% of the budget to agriculture. However, since the declaration, some agric experts on the African continent have expressed worry that governments have failed to meet the allocation. Again, the declaration sought to emphasize the need for public financing in agriculture to improve on crop yield. In Ghana, a report by Send Ghana has indicated that only 61% of agriculture is crop-based. Again, the report said that agriculture has consistently declined from 2010 to 2015. In 2010, agriculture grew by 3.5% with a 6.8% budgetary allocation. In 2014, the sector grew by about 5.5% with a 9.4% budgetary allocation. Send Ghana has therefore charged government to properly direct investment into targeted areas in agriculture.
The growth rate of agriculture has been falling, even though we are increasing our investment in agriculture. Yet we do our allocations to certain areas that are not entirely related to the crop sector. We need to begin to allocate within the agriculture sector or our agri sector more of our budget allocation to improvement of crop sector in Ghana.
That notwithstanding, stakeholders in agriculture from the African continent are in Ghana for a one-week workshop on improving smallholder farms. Discussions will also focus on reviewing agricultural policies to improve on crop yield. Again, they will emphasize on the need to create alternative sources of funding for the sector.
We will also begin to propose long-term capital investments that we need. We need infrastructure in many communal areas where they produce, and also investment in extension, and also investment in post-harvest technologies. But I think most importantly is to begin to track the capital investments that governments are making.
More than 30% of Ghana's poultry requirements are produced in the Doma traditional area of the Brong Ahafo region. The information is in the 2015 economic indicators by the Ministry of Agriculture. TV3 visited the Doma traditional area to find out more.
Doma Ahinkro is the traditional capital of the Doma Traditional Council. The area is noted for poultry production. An electrical installation technician from the Sunyani Technical Institute, David Kwabena Ampofu, abandoned the profession for poultry farming. From a humble beginning, the Ampofu Farms is now located in 3 areas with a total of 120,000 birds, producing over 2,000 crates of eggs a day. The farm again produces hatchlings for restocking and supply to other farms. However, access to functional veterinary laboratory is a challenge. Zachary Dramani is one of the proud poultry farmers with 4,000 live birds and a daily harvest of 150 crates of eggs. He thinks government's intervention is critical to make Ghana self-sufficient in poultry product consumption.
Government over the years has failed. Doma is the hub for poultry products, yet we do not have a single laboratory to promote the business. What we have is promises from successive governments, leaving us in a state of helplessness.
A tax expert, William Osu Demeshia, says government must put in place bold policies to enable it to tax the informal sector. According to him, expanding the tax net will ease the burden off the formal sector, which forms about 7% of the taxable population.
Among the several tax reliefs the Ghana Union of Traders Association is seeking is the removal of the 17.5% standard rate tax, which previously was a 3% VAT flat rate. Under the scheme, registered retailers of taxable goods charge VAT at a marginal rate of 3% on the value of each taxable item sold. According to the president of GUTA, George Ofori, it is an agreement they reached with the Kufuor administration and does not see why the GRA must reject it when traders file their taxes.
We thought that if the Finance Ministry or the VAT office will even have to scrap the 3%, we should have been consulted. We are calling for immediate removal of that 7.5% and to be reverted back to the 3%.
Tax expert William Owusu explained, under the old VAT Act of 1998, there was a flat rate scheme, but not so under the VAT Act of 2013. According to him, it is now that the law is being applied to the letter.
When the new VAT Act was passed, there was no mention of a flat rate. So what GRA sought to do was to gradually transition people onto the standard rate scheme of 17.5. And so as they have it now, it is a law that was passed and assented to by the president and gazetted on 31st December 2013. So it's not anything new, just that it's now that they are moving everybody onto the standard rate.
He, however, cautioned it is not necessarily the importer who pays for the increment, but the final consumer who does.
It is not that importer who pays it. You pay it initially, but when you sell your items, you also charge VAT, and then you net it off. So it's not a cost to the importer. It is a cost to the final consumer, which invariably means the cost of the item would increase.
So that's it for business this afternoon.